welcome to another video with Cass on the Maizuma channel. Today we're going to talk about this component that I just designed, which is a four-way minecart intersection that is supposed to work for multiplayer servers. So as you can see here, we have a rail for the guys who are going and another rail for the guys who are coming. And then here we have this kind of menu here where you have all the options you can possibly think of. So you can go right. I forgot to copy the minecart, so let me do that. You can go left. It goes around this ring here and goes left. As you can see, I kind of tried to make it so the buttons make a little bit of sense. So you can see that this button is on the right side and it's kind of extends this way. This is on the left, and if you want to go forward, you have to press this one. See, this is kind of extending on this direction. So this is how it goes forward. And finally here, if you click the one on the inside, it goes back. So yeah, it's cool because I don't know why you want to go back. Maybe because you forgot your pickaxe. This is a fairly simple design considering all it does. It uses no pistons, and there are some extra functionality and really a lot to talk about. You can also make it into a three-way intersection simply by not building one of the sides, because the redstone is completely symmetric and the logic behind it is really simple considering all it does. And as you can see, I tried to make it look good as well. So everything is flat and really no redstone showing. There's this alternative interface. The redstone responsible for making the intersection work itself has almost nothing to do with the interface, the user interface that you see here. By the way, this is how the player sees this interface. So it means that there are other ways that you can make these buttons work, and this is all possible because this intersection is actually controlled by signal strength, which is why we have this option here. And this is exactly what I needed for my future project of auto routing, which is basically letting the player from anywhere on the map just select a destination and hop on the minecart and let the entire system auto route the minecart, so the player doesn't have to do anything, doesn't ever have to go outside the minecart, doesn't ever have to press a button and go to complex intersections and just build a path automatically. So this allows for remote control of this thing and also for us to make different interfaces to this. So let me do a quick demonstration here. So for instance, if I wanted this minecart to go left, I just have to flick this lever, and then once the minecart gets a pulse, it goes left as expected. So yeah, we can control everything just by pressing these things. If I want the minecart to return at any point, just flick this lever and ta-da! So yeah, I think this is exactly the component I needed for this. So we have the manual control, we have the remote or automated control, and a bunch of other features that I'll try to demonstrate now. So this should be the fun part of the video. I created a small example in here with just 2 intersections, which allows you to connect six different places. So this is already cool, huh? And there are some things that I wanna show, some variations of this system. So a minecart goes, another minecart shows in there. This is how I made it stop, because I wanted the system to be mostly flat. So this is the best I could do so far. So let's say we want to go left, and I don't know, I really love minecart systems, so I think it's really fun to ride those systems. So let's go somewhere else now. Let's say we want to go forward. So let's just do this, and then ahead I can see another intersection. So now maybe let's go forward once again, and then this is just another type of station that you can have. So here you don't have a minecart that gets back in here every time you go away. It's just this spot in here. So let's go forward just so I can show you how it can go back and forth all the time. Okay, so say I forgot my pickaxe, so I just want to go back now. There we go, we're coming back. So this is really fun to ride. Let's maybe go left this time. Okay, so now we are at a different place. Let's say that this is the station that's going to be for my base. So my base is around here. And then what I did here for my little base is this menu for myself. So I can go to an ice farm, to the iron farm, or to the wood farm. All I have to do is to hop on the minecart. So let's maybe first go to the iron farm. So it knows, so see that now I didn't have to make a choice here at this intersection. I didn't have to make a choice. I just told the system that I wanted to go to the iron farm, and then I added a block of iron here just to represent that this would be the iron farm. So let's go outside of this place. And here is one example of the other kind of interface you can have. Let me show you how it is here. I think it's cool because it has the arrows that show you where you're going when you press the buttons, and then the buttons are in a completely different configuration. And as you can see, I pulled the player aside in here. So let me explain why I did that. Because the thing is, stopping the player exactly where you want for this system is not exactly easy. Because I think there are changes that they made that make carts change momentum and things like that, depending on distance and of course on the number of powered rails. So I tried to build a system that is not annoying for players to build, so that they have to keep track of exact number of tracks every time they build it, because this is of course designed for entire servers and big builds. So we don't want it for it to be very complicated to build, which is another thing I was trying to achieve. So for instance, here, if I want the player to stop here, I just add one powered rail in here, and the player will stop in there. Just let me be clear: the player has to stop here. If the minecart has too much momentum, it's going to ignore the unpowered powered rail and stop here. And once you press the button, the minecart is going backwards. So this breaks the system. So with in some places it's quite easy to do it. Mostly I can do a setup like this where I just power the minecart one time before sending the minecart to the unpowered rails. But in this direction, for instance, I had a problem, so I couldn't do this. So I had to add a little bit of redstone. So when the minecart goes in here, see, this unpowers, but there is a little bit of delay, as you can see here. So after 2 + 1 redstone ticks, then the minecart gets stopped in here. And the minecarts, basically this is going to get unpowered while the minecart is midway between this block and this stop point in here. So that the minecart gets a little bit slowed down. Not enough for the minecart not to reach this point, but of course not enough for the minecart to go here. So this is really annoying and a little bit inconsistent. And I did this just once again because I wanted to keep the tracks as flat as possible, because I think they look better this way. Let's say I want to go, yeah, I want to go here to this little station in there, and now I want to go back to my base, so I need to hit this button. And now let's go to the wood farm. So once again, it will take care of the intersection for me. See, once again, I didn't have to choose anything. Once I got to this point, my little system in there set up the intersection for me. Of course, it only took care of one intersection, but this is like 3 different places that you can go just by setting this redstone. I'm going to show you a little bit of the redstone. This is all that you can see underneath. So it's basically the redstone for the intersections and nothing else. See? There's not a lot of redstone except, of course, once again, for the intersections. And the redstone to do this automated thing is a little bit more complicated, because you see, we're just clicking buttons in here. So I have to transmit signals, I have to store the information inside a memory, and then I have to reset the intersection later, because someone else might be trying to use the intersection. So yeah, multiplayer, designing things, survival multiplayer is not really easy. Before we start with the tutorial, guys, I want to mention 2 more things. Just want to say that this intersection, despite only having 4 directions, obviously, it has a 5th state. And this is when you don't pick any direction. So if I just do this, the minecart is going to be trapped in this loop. So this is interesting because the minecart cannot get away from the player, because the player is the one doing the decisions. Yeah, and this is the first prototype that I built. I think it also looks interesting. The shame is, I think the only way to get the minecart out is by breaking the rails, or maybe, well, in survival you can just use an arrow to break it. But this is what I call a normally closed intersection. And this model in here, which is the one we're going to build, is what I call a open model. So by default, the minecart is going to be trapped in there, while this one will send the minecart away unless something gets changed. You can see that here we have some redstone to control the directions, but for instance, this button that goes to the right, it's just not connected to anything because, well, it's normally open. So it's way easier to build, and maybe I'm going to talk about that thing back there in a separate video, guys. So let me just quickly demonstrate how these ones work. So forward, same as others, all the way around and back and left. And if I go right, basically I only have to do two decisions. Finally, here gives me the opportunity to show you this other interface. You can see the arrows on the floor in here, and this is when the player comes from here. He or she gets pulled aside and then gets to decide. Another idea I had was to have multiple little stations in here, because in multiplayer it might happen that while the player is making a decision, other players are coming. So we're going to use a detection system in here. We're not going to do this in this tutorial, by the way. And then other players are basically just all going to be pulled aside in here. And once the first player makes a decision, then the player moves away, and this guy moves in here, and this guy moves in there, and so on. So this guy goes in there. So this is something that can possibly be done with this system. So there are so many things that we can do with a system like this, guys. Time to start building this thing, and we're gonna build the open format. So you're gonna build a ring, and this is where your actual intersection is going to be. And there's going to be another ring that you need to build. And in between those rings, there are 2 blocks of distance. We can start by placing those blocks in here, so we can extend the ring and basically have outputs and inputs for the station, for the intersection, sorry. So for every side you go, the player is always going to be coming from the right side and exiting from the left side. Sorry, British, I had to make a choice. Of course, there is a way to change this, and it's going to be fairly easy, I believe. So in between those outputs and inputs, we're going to have a few powered rails, and we also want to have powered rails on those guys in here. I just extended this one because this one is going to be the first I'm going to build, and then yeah, just powered rails like this. So this is how it looks for now. And finally, you just place the regular rails like this, and don't worry at all about the direction they are facing, because this is all going to be fixed at the proper moment. Time to literally dive in. So in the middle of the ring, I'm gonna just have this support block, and the core of everything you see here is this barrel. And the barrel contains a very important item, which is this fern that you have to place in the middle. Coming out of the barrel, you want to have 4 comparators like this. And then here you can walk around this ring, placing more comparators. Those comparators have to be on subtraction mode, which is why I'm turning on this little lamp in here. So from here, you can also place 4 what is it named? I never used redstone in my life. This is why I can't remember. Redstone dust. Okay, and you just place solid blocks in between, guys. Sorry for that. I'm not gonna edit this out. Okay, so this is how it should look for now. This part should be easy as well, which is the first round of torch placement. So see how the comparator connects to a comparator that goes this way? So at the back of this comparator, there is a block that needs a torch. So now we just have to repeat this. So turn 90 degrees and do the same here, 90 degrees, and then once again you do this. Guys, I am sorry to say, but this is the point where we start the boring part. And the boring part comes from this. Now we have to test and try to fix the direction of these rails in here. And there are 2 fixing points that you have to do. Actually 4. One is going to be fixed by torch. 2 of them are going to be fixed by redstone torches, and 2 of them are going to be fixed by levers. So start by placing a lever here, and you have to check what this rail does. Okay, so see, when you remove the torch, they connect properly. So this side doesn't need a torch. Now turn on, turn around 90 degrees and do the same thing. Test with the torch. We remove the torch. They seem to connect okay. So I don't think this side needs a torch as well. And here, once again, I know it's not perfect, but we will fix this later. Just a little extra step. And then place the torch again. And when you remove, they're not connected correctly. So once again, we need this side to be powered permanently. So what we'll do is you place a a lever in here and flick it. And now this is going to be this way always. And I believe we have already tested this side. Yeah, so this one, see, this one needs to be powered constantly so this can connect. So we place another lever in there and flick it so this side is fixed as well as this side. So in the end, you're going to have the two sides that are working perfectly and two sides that are not working perfectly. So what you do is you need to unpower this, see? But this is a control line, we cannot just unpower it. So what you do is you come in here and you change this torch like this to this. And then this is going to be normally unpowered. You can check that this is now connecting correctly. And you do the same here. So you can just break the torch. Make sure to not place the torch here. You will see that the lever isn't here, so you're not going to be able anyways. And then place this other torch in there. So if you look around, all of the corners are perfectly connected like this. So you can take a print if you want. And now we have to place a bunch of levers everywhere. So I start by powering these rails in the middle here. So see, just place the torch and power these middle sections in here. Okay, so see, all these guys are powered now, and I like to power these guys as well. So we cannot power this side because once again this is where the player is going to be coming from. So I will power only the left side. So lever in there, lever in there. By the way, these levers made the design so hard to do because of all the interference. Okay, so now all the things that we need to power are correctly powered. So see, power in here, not powered in there. Now we are ready to do some redstone. So underneath the rail where the player comes from, we're going to extend this line and place a comparator there on subtraction mode, and there is going to be another comparator subtracting from it. The value it's going to be subtracting is this one. So what is inside this hopper, which by the way is powered all the time, which is awesome, is this. So you have to place this configuration with three unstackable items plus these. Of course you could do this, just one more stack, but the reason why I do it like this is because then if you break any blocks around here, nothing is going to fall inside this hopper because this can break the system. Okay, and now we can just extend this line, and believe it or not, this already controls the intersection. So see how compact and simple it is, guys. This is so amazing. And it's completely symmetrical. This is just the same thing that you have to build on all sides. So let me just do a quick demonstration. I'm gonna use this button in here. By the way, this button is very important that we use the wooden buttons because they have a longer signal. Okay, and here just you're gonna use a few levers, and you can run this exact same test in your world if you're trying to build intersections. So if I power this block, you can see that a minecart that I forgot to place is going to come out to the left, to the right, and here it's going to go forward, and here it's going to go left. Sorry guys, here I had a bit of an audio fail, so I'm recording a little bit of a voiceover. So yeah, I'm just testing all the directions in here just to show you guys how easy it is. And at this point, I'm just gonna show you guys a very simple interface that you can build in order to control your minecarts. So yeah, this is a very simple way of doing it. And now we're going to move on back to the original audio. So this has to be a total length of 4, so 4 powered rails, which are by the way going to be unpowered. And then I'm gonna put this block in here just so we can test things later, guys, but of course I will get into more details. Down here underneath this side, we're going to do the exact same thing we did in there, and this is going to be valid for all sides, by the way. So once again, this is what is inside your hopper. But here is where we're going to start doing things differently. Your menu, if you will, is going to be like this. I like to use those two buttons like this to indicate that those go to the side, and these like this to indicate that this goes in this direction, forward or backward. So for this first button in here, we don't need any redstone at all, which is interesting. For this one, we just need to place redstone dust in here and connect it directly to the subtraction mode comparator. So you can see that this goes forward. And this one is also really easy. Just place redstone dust in here. So far it's just redstone dust, guys. And this is going to the left. Alright, and this one is the a little bit more complicated one, because you need this guy to be on subtraction mode, and then, nope, sorry, I messed up. You have to have this piece of redstone dust in here, and then you can place this on subtraction mode and full power, and then you just power it, and from the inside you need to have this torch in here, just like this. So this is all, guys, and this will make the minecart go all the way around. It's even easier with the player on, because the player gives the minecart a little bit more momentum. So this is the hardest one to do, and ta-da! It works fine, guys. So yeah, you can just build it on all four sides, and this is basically going to work. And finally, the thing is, it's not so easy to stop the player on these locations. You need for the player to stop with the minecart right in here, so the player can see or have access to all the buttons. I guess you can stop the player one block behind. It would work as well, because this is as far as the player can reach. But the thing is, there is no really good way of stopping the player on a flat system without doing some things that yeah, I don't particularly like to do with redstone. But yeah, then basically you are going to have to do something like this in order for the player to stop. Let me put the correct rails in here. Here comes the annoying part, which I believe is a little bit inconsistent with minecart systems, which is I don't think the powered rails do their job correctly. It's good and bad at the same time, but I wish there would be a block, a actual rail block that stops the minecart no matter what. Because a setup like this is basically, well, it's fine. If you have the player in, you're gonna get a little push from this guy, and then you're going to be able to stop at the exact right point. Let's make the cart go forward. Let's leave the minecart and see, it all works correctly. But if you have way too much momentum, let me just exaggerate this, and then you place your minecart in here. It's going to stop in the middle or in this other block, and in any case, if you press buttons in here, it's going backwards, which breaks the system. So this is really annoying. So I believe like something like this would still work. So it really is really annoying that it depends on momentum. So it depends on the size of the tracks and everything. One of the solutions that I found that worked a little bit nicer was to have something a little set up like this. So here we would have a detector rail, and then once you go on top of it, it's going to empower this rail. Sometimes you have to use 3 ticks. I think this is probably going to be the case in here, but I think 2 ticks also work. So see, I couldn't find, unfortunately, a universal solution to this. So yeah, here, see, it works nicely. It stops the player where it needs to stop the player, and then this is, well, a little fix that you can do. Or you can use this system here that I mentioned multiple times, where the player is pulled aside, you know, and then you can do something better about it. But that's basically it, guys. I'll probably make another video. By the way, you can just build the same thing that you want on every side in here. Just don't forget to do this super important thing in here, which is this comparator and this little setup, this line in here. Yeah, I need to get some feedback from you guys first before I do the second video on it, and maybe if you guys find any solutions to this. Of course, I'm trying to keep the lines as flat as possible, because if I want to keep it consistent, guys, to be honest, I can do something like this. I can basically force the minecart to drop in here. So that I think, like, I wouldn't be happy with a solution like this. So the minecart is going to probably fall consistently there. Oh, it can't go. Yeah, because this. Sorry. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to power the. Wow, I'm the best with redstone and things. Because I'm just kind of trying to not extend the video too much. But see, the player has stopped it perfectly in here, so I already have this solution. I don't need this solution. Look how ugly this is. I don't want to have an intersection that looks like this. So if you guys have any ideas that you want to share, feel free to contact me on Twitter or just post a comment in here. So for now, guys, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you soon next time. Goodbye.